It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This, in all of its glory, is Car Con Carne, the podcast that I mostly record in my car. I'm James Van Alstyne, and Car Con Carne is sponsored by Easy Automation, easy-automation.net. Transform your living space. Transform your workplace. Maybe you own a place, a retail shop, or a bar and restaurant. Transform it with cutting-edge automation. Integrate everything, lighting, climate, security, audio, video, all of it. The future is here. It's your place, your rules, and you can get a hassle-free quote. You can call my guy Dan and say, Dan, I've heard that using Easy Automation, making a dumb home a smart home is really easy to do. But listen, I just want to learn for now. I don't want any pressure. And Dan will say, cool, this is hassle-free. I'd be glad to help. Or he'll say something like that. Call Dan, 630-730-3728, or visit his website, easy-automation.net. Car Con Carne is also sponsored by a book. Yes, a book, because Car Con Carne supports literacy in all forms. That book in question is 90 Days in the 90s, a rock and roll time travel story, the ultimate novel about the 90s music scene here in Chicago. I lived through it. I can attest it was awesome, and I can also attest that this book really covers it beautifully. It's like you're there as you're reading 90 Days in the 90s. You live through the experiences of Darby. Now, Darby owns a record store in Chicago, and she gets to go on the gray line. Not the yellow line, not the purple line, not the red line, not the brown line, the gray line, to go back in time to the 90s in Chicago. Sounds cool, right? Well, find out what Darby does when she goes back to the 90s, and find out whether she decides to stick around or come back to the present. Honestly, at this point, staying in the 90s sounds kind of amazing. To learn more, go to 90daysinthe90s.com or pick this book up on Amazon or wherever you buy books. One final programming note before I bring my guest into the car. Thursday, May 15th, Car Con Carne is again live on stage, this time in Elgin, South Elgin, at Legit Dogs and Ice. The food there is unbelievable. Come to Legit Dogs and Ice hungry. Seriously. I'll be on stage recording this very podcast, and I'll have lots of guests. I'll have live performances and interviews from Derision Cult, Karen Shook, and Aaron Williams. Live comedy and an interview from Chris Bonget. And I'm also going to be joined by Carson Souza of Obscurity Brewing. We'll talk brewing. We'll talk craft brewing. I've said this before on the podcast. I think that the craft brewing industry is very similar to the independent music industry. Lots of overlap. The hustle is certainly similar. All this is happening at Legit Dogs and Ice, 8:30 sharp. It is absolutely free. Thursday, May 15th. Be part of the broadcast and hear yourself, maybe see yourself, on this podcast sometime in May. I failed to mention in my intro, Car Con Carne is a Q101 podcast. Threadless, the online artist community and design marketplace, is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. 25th?
25th. Somehow.
It started in 2000 with no roadmap to become a legit capital B business, right?
That's right. Just a hobby.
It started as a t-shirt design challenge on an internet forum. Now, I hate reading from scripts, but I need a script for this. 25 years later, here are some top-line stats about Threadless. 36 million paid to artists and counting. Over 500,000 artist shops created. More than 850,000 design submissions from artists around the world. 200 million votes cast for what makes it to print. 1.2 million donated to charity. My guest is Jake Nickell. He's the founder and CEO of Threadless, the guy who started the company 25 years ago with little more than pocket change and a dream, or maybe an idea. Dream is probably too ambitious at that point.
Yeah, that sounds about right. More just needed to pass some time.
So we're at Poochie's in Skokie, 3602 Dempster. We ordered the same thing because it's wonderful, the char dog.
Yes.
Char Chicago.
Love a char dog.
Like, people far and wide, like, this is just one of those Chicago hot dog joints that's not technically in Chicago, but they do everything right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. So we got the same thing. I'll let you dig in. We got the double dog special because I think you agree. You told me what you wanted before you got here.
Yep.
One hot dog is just a tease. It's never enough. You need two.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Gotta have two. I like the Home Depot dogs too, but
everyone likes the Depot dogs.
Yeah.
Thank you. Here, I'll grab one for now, and maybe one will be the road dog.
Yeah.
The way home dog. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Threadless.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here's how I know you're not a typical CEO. Before this could go any direction, couldn't it? And your Coke is here.
Okay.
Okay, you're there.
Straws.
I didn't get any requests for questions in advance. I didn't get any talking points sent to me. The least corporate CEO in America right here.
Well, I don't see any of my green M&Ms in the car, so.
But you are a very atypical business leader. I mean, by your own
Yeah.
admission, you've described yourself as someone who's not a businessman.
Yeah, I went to art school for college. I didn't graduate. I started the company when I was a sophomore in college, and I've slowly learned how to. I actually stepped down as CEO of this company for a while, for like 3 or 4 years, and hired a real CEO, and that's what really gave me the confidence to jump back into it myself, because I figured, I
Well, was it a
understand.
confidence thing, or was it a time? Or
A lot of it was confidence. It was I think the two major hiccups I had were like not feeling unconfident, but then also not really being good at managing people. I'm a maker. I like to code. I like to do art and stuff like that. And when it comes to managing people, I needed to find some help with people I trust to help build out the team and such.
So, what was it about management that you didn't feel you were great at? Was it empathy? Was it just the time commitment?
Empathy is a big one where and I don't know, I also have a very DIY mentality. Like, I don't like to micromanage. I want, and the people that we hire, I like to be able, for those folks to be able to just get to their work on their own without too much management. And I was just spending too much time of my day managing people where I wanted to do stuff, I guess, in those earlier years.
What would your employees say about you now?
Man. I think I get along really well with our staff. It's tough. I think the hardest number one thing running a business is those moments where you have to part ways with somebody. Whether it's you fire them, they quit, you lay them off. It's so challenging. Like, to this day, I find those moments so difficult.
I think you're supposed to, though, right? If you're doing it right.
Yeah. No, I guess I hate to ever lose that, because
Yeah.
then something must be wrong. But it's, like you said, I didn't start this company to be a business. My wife's a chemical engineer, and I was thinking she'd be the one to make the money in the family. And I'm a developer, and I just was kind of messing around with code and built the website, and it slowly snowballed into something and became what I do.
And for all the reasons Threadless has become successful, I think the core one is finding a community and nurturing it. That seems to be the secret to success for so many, especially web-based companies.
Yeah, we think of our artists more as our customers than the people who are actually buying our T-shirts. And we really feel like, so long as we're helping artists make money, then we make money on the back end from that. And so, yeah, it's just kind of slow, long, hard relationship building with people. My favorite things to do is I like going to the conferences like Designer Con in Vegas or Collected Con now here in Chicago, and just meeting with the artists, hanging out and enjoying their work and talking about how we can help them.
You're one of them.
Yeah.
All right, let's open some hot dogs here.
Yeah.
Got the poppy seed bun.
Ooh. Got the pickle. I mean,
I've already
all the
lost my pickle.
fixings.
Textbook, you got the sport pepper. There's celery salt in there, onions. But the grilled makes all the difference.
I do like a char dog. I mean, you can get them steamed here too, right?
Right, of course.
But I always go char for sure.
I always go char because no one else does it.
Yeah, it is rare.
It feels special.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a late Easter brunch right now.
And maybe stereotypical dad stuff, but I love cooking over fire too, and it's just, yeah.
Do you have a smoker?
I do, yeah, like with charcoal. It's one of those master built gravity fed smoker.
That's awesome.
But I prefer cooking over just like wood fire.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to Argentina once just to go to Francis Mallman's restaurant.
Oh, that's cool. That's like bucket list stuff.
Best meal I've had in my life. So good.
Oh my God, for sure. So when I said you started Threadless with little more than pocket change and an idea, that idea was to invite people to submit their t-shirt designs online and let the community vote for what gets printed. That's, I guess, the general way of saying it, but how would you describe your business model?
Well, yeah, that's something that's changed over time just because,
Right.
like, in the, like, maybe around 2008 or 9 or so, we became known as the poster child for this new word called crowdsourcing.
Mm-hmm.
And crowdsourcing is a word invented by the editor of Wired magazine at the time. And all these academia, like MIT and Harvard and Stanford, they would all start teaching crowdsourcing, and user innovation was another one. And there's actually 2 Harvard case studies about Threadless. And so I got down a trap. This is a really long way of answering your question. So
I'm glad you have two Harvard studies about your business model.
yeah. And I got to sit in a lot of those classes and
Oh my God.
learn like what the students think of our business. But during that time, I started taking what we're doing really seriously. And go, It's a user innovation platform for crowdsourcing. But no, I mean, it's just a community of artists making cool stuff together with your friends. I mean, and then, of course, we sell it on merch, which the place that Threadless started was a forum for digital artists. So
Right.
artists would like make art on their computer, and there'd never be anything in the real world of that art. It's all just on screen. So I was like, why don't we print some stuff on posters, print some stuff on T-shirts, and then we can have it. And so that's where the merch kind of came from. But then it's always just really cool for an artist to see their design on a T-shirt.
Oh, for sure. And from your perspective, the weirder the better.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is a person who is friend of the artists. Like you like the out there stuff, maybe even some of the darker stuff.
I do, yeah. I mean, a lot of the designs that I like that we take to print didn't always sell the best because, I don't know, I guess my art taste might be a little different than mainstream, but that's one thing I like about the platform is it allows anybody to kind of participate with zero audience or zero like network, a lot of art to make it in art before the internet got one of those peppers. You had to have a good network with galleries and
Right.
And I like that it's a level playing field on Threadless for all artists that can upload and tap into a market without having a gatekeeper so much like that.
And you started out of a tiny Chicago apartment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the first couple of years, and a lot of this is documented in this book.
Yeah. Yeah, that book we did for our 10-year anniversary, and started Threadless in I had a little 400 square foot studio apartment, and I would put my computer in front of the door when I was coding the site so that I wouldn't leave. And my co-founder and my wife both went to Purdue down in Indiana, and so they would come up every once in a while to help ship orders. She wasn't my wife at the time, but my wife now. So yeah, she's been involved in the business since day one, and she's actually still works at Threadless.
How many people do you currently employ?
It's a pretty small team, about 20 people right now, but we drop ship everything from our suppliers, so there's a pretty large network of suppliers out there making it all happen.
So for the first couple of years, you got the computer in front of the door. Everything you make is going back into the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have set up a separate bank account. Every dollar of T-shirt sales that came in, we would use to print more T-shirts, and that probably went for a good two years at least before I even paid myself a penny from it.
I swear to God, this sounds like being in a local band.
Yeah, probably.
It's the same hustle, the same idea. Like, okay, we made $100 at the show. We're gonna buy more merch for the next show.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like that, and I was working a full-time job while going to school part-time. And yeah, I hired my first employee before I even started paying myself, and that's when I kind of dropped out of school.
And was that the moment when you knew, okay, this is a business?
Yeah. It was like, I got to choose. I can either finish my degree or I need to really start giving this thing some life.
So, working out of the apartment, you eventually moved to the warehouse.
Yep.
That was a few years after that? after you
Yeah,
started?
I think that might have been like 4 years in. I think 2 years in, I quit my job and dropped out of school. And then 4 years in, we actually started doing, when I quit my job and dropped out of school, we were doing web design work for clients.
Mm-hmm.
And Threadless was kind of proof that we knew how to build an e-commerce website. And then it was in 2004, we were kind of looking at the year-end bank account and saw that, Threadless is actually making us more money than our client work, yet we're spending 80-90% of our time on the client work.
I bet that was eye-opening.
So we fired all of our clients and started working. Even then, we didn't realize Threadless is the business. We thought we could launch like 5 more businesses like Threadless.
Because how would you know?
Right, yeah, I don't know. It's just something that we're like, why don't we make Threadless for music, or Threadless for patterns, or Threadless for typography?
So the warehouse move was a big scaling up. Over the course of 25 years, I'm sure there were moments where you've had to scale and explode what you did into different directions, forward, sideways, etc. What was another big expansion or scaling moment?
I think we had a lot of stumbles there on how to, ship orders fast enough so people get their T-shirts in time for Christmas. That's when my wife came in, and she really took over the operations of the business. She managed our warehouse, did customer service, all the finance and accounting, the legal stuff, and she kind of just whipped the business into shape, made it real. And then we had a few things that went wrong. I remember one time the FedEx bill, they would charge us on our credit card for every single package we would ship, and we would ship, say, 200 packages in a day, but we had a limit of 50 charges per day allowed on our credit card.
Oh, no.
But they would keep processing them, so they'd hit the 50, and then 51 would be declined, 52 would be declined, and then they'd charge a $5 decline fee for each one. And over the course of literally 2 weeks, we racked up $150,000 worth of fees from FedEx, and that almost put us out of business.
I was going to say, that sounds like an existential moment for them.
Yeah, those are those kind of weird scaling things that you just don't know what to do. And then we found out because the FedEx guy just stopped showing up, and then we called up FedEx, and they're like, haven't you opened your mail about your bill?
Oh, my God. So anytime you run a business, anytime you do anything in life, you make mistakes. Was that the one you learned the most from, or was there another mistake that actually helped you out in the end? It was eye-opening.
Yeah, not there. We've made so many mistakes. I'm trying to think of another one that would have been bad, but probably the biggest mistake we made is one year we really made a go at trying to grow the business significantly. It was the first, because we didn't spend $1 on advertising for our first 8 years in business, and we kind of figured out from
We said it was all word of mouth.
All word of mouth, yeah. So artists would share their design. I think social media makes that a lot harder now, because even if you have all these followers, you can't get in front of them without paying.
Exactly.
It's really hard. But yeah, from 2008 to 2012, we really figured out an advertising strategy that worked. So in 2012 for holiday, we bought way more inventory than we normally would and planned to spend a ton of money on ads. But then that completely bombed. It just did not work at all. And we were left with all this inventory that we weren't able to sell and spent all this money on ads, and we were in a very, very tough spot there in 2012. That was a big learning.
And of course, you're thinking, hey, we're out of the recession. Cool.
Yeah,
hey,
right around that time, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, things just don't scale. Even today, if you have ads that are working, it's not like you can just throw more money at them, because it's because there's an audience there, and the audience is limited. Eventually you're going to hit a wall, and so I think we just felt too brazen in that moment.
Thinking about the book that I just held up, going back to that idea of community, Seth Godin is a contributor to the book. I mean, I think he summarized the business. I mean, everything he talks about is exactly what Threadless does. I mean, you kind of find your tribe, that group of people that's really invested in what you're doing.
Seth is an amazing writer. I mean, he has probably a good 10 to 20 books that I would highly recommend. I mean, just go look up and read one. He was one of those clients we fired, actually, in 2004.
Oh, that's interesting.
We were building Squidoo for him at the time. And, yeah, I reached out to him to write a think piece for the for the book. I think he's the one who said like this isn't about T-shirts in it. He's brilliant. Yeah.
So the idea, I mean, what you're doing, you built community around art and creativity. On paper, that sounds like you're pretty much living the American dream.
Yeah. I mean, it's not without its challenges. I mean, every day there's very hard days, but it's hard to complain when, I never thought I would be doing this at all. I was like, I went to school for multimedia web design, and at the time I was learning how to use software for like user interfaces for like CD-ROMs in the back of encyclopedias, weird stuff like that. And I enjoyed that work. But then to be able to have one of my own projects turn into what we do is really the dream. Like a lot of Chicago companies do that, like Jim Kudal with Field Notes and even Jason Fried with Basecamp and stuff. But yeah.
You mentioned your role as a leader. You mentioned your team of 20-ish. Your company is fully remote.
Yep.
Remote work, hybrid work have both become kind of contentious topics in the public forum over the past year or two. How has remote worked for Threadless, and what have you learned from it?
Well, we've been doing it now, I think, since maybe like 3 or 4 years since COVID started. And I still like to get together with my team in person as much as possible, like once a week or once every 2 weeks,
So they're all local.
We do have like 3 or 4 people that are outside of the Chicago area, but we try to bring them in like
that's great,
as frequently as we can. We do a company retreat every year.
That's awesome. That's my next question: is how do you build and support culture?
I mean, there's a lot of tools online. We're very tight on Slack and stuff, but it is tough to do from scratch. I think we're lucky that we all kind of did work together for a while, and,
right?
But bringing in a new person, they didn't have that experience, so you got to keep that in mind. I could see a future where we get together in person even more frequently, but work-wise, I think I haven't really noticed any. If anything, I think people are more
100%. I'm super productive working from home, but I also recognize the value of meeting someone one-to-one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even if it's for dinner or drinks or coffee or something, it's not so
or
much
a hot dog in a car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is the mission statement still inspire awesomeness?
We've gone through some different ones. I think we don't really have one thing right now. Make Great Together was one for a while that we still kind of use a little bit. Our first one was Nude No More, which is like, you buy a shirt from us and you won't be naked anymore.
that sounds very startup-y.
Yeah. But I think, we haven't really we do have values more so than a mission right now. Like, one of them is my favorite. It's actually inspired by Seth Godin, Be an Artist. Seth says even a nurse who helps somebody feel more comfortable when they don't have to as part of their job that's that nurse being an artist. And it's about bringing a part of yourself to your job, not just being a cog in the system. But that's one of my favorite ones.
Authenticity matters.
Yeah,
and people feed into that, and they get something out of that.
Yeah.
There are so many designs I've fallen in love with, and I'm sure you have as well, over the past 25 years. Some have managed to make their way all over the internet. I think my all-time favorite, this is just me personally, I love the look, is Cookie Loves Milk.
Oh, yes, that's a great one.
I have a poster of it in my house.
Nice. Oh, man. Probably one of the original screen-printed posters, too.
It's a favorite. Funkalicious has made the rounds.
Yep, that's a good one.
And one thing you address in the book is the food with faces trend, which I love.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
We're actually doing a series of throwback design challenges right now for our 25th anniversary, and one of them is food with faces. So that's actually running right now.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to talk about art for over video or audio because people can't see it. But one or two that you may think are emblematic of what Threadless is all about.
So, one of my favorites was this Canadian artist that went by Ken with like 12 N's, and the design is called My Little Pony, and it's this woman in high heels that just like stepped on a pony, so it's like punctured and bleeding, and she's holding her baby away in horror, and it's just such a weird. It didn't sell very well, but I love that it can exist in this world.
Yes.
And there's another one that is a horse where the head is actually yogurt, like a little yogurt container with a spoon in it, and yeah, that weird stuff like that just gets me. I don't know.
Oh, I appreciate that stuff too. You started the artist shops 10 years ago.
Yep.
It's worth mentioning. I've got my Threadless shop, carquincarne.threadless.com.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
wearing Carquin Carne Threadless merch as we speak. A very handsome light blue
Very cool.
zip front hoodie with the logo.
That's great.
I think that's cool. It makes it so that people who aren't necessarily of the caliber of My Little Pony butchering can
Yeah.
that brands can buy into this.
Yeah, that's one thing that we're noticing. I mean, we built artist shops as a platform for artists where, Threadless, you'd kind of upload a design here or there and maybe get one printed. But with artist shops, we thought maybe an artist wants to make their own brand, like a cohesive brand across multiple designs. And we built this thing and people are using it. But then, we didn't intend this, but looking at some of our top shops, all of a sudden you're seeing like businesses in there using it or nonprofits using it or bands. And that's been really fun to see. And
Because the drop shipping model is just the most effective way to move ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you never think about with how much you're losing with the inventory not sold, right?
I shouldn't have bought all those smalls. Damn it, I didn't know.
Right, with having everything made to order, it just makes everything better. But it took a while for the quality to really get to, and even when the quality was getting to the point to mirror screen printing, the price was just way too high. It's still much more expensive to print on demand than it is to screen print in bulk. I mean, if you're going to make 15,000 t-shirts, you're going to screen print them. But
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to ask too, does all the craziness in the world right now, does any of that trickle down to Threadless? Do you have any kind of production issues because of tariffs, etc.?
Yeah, it's starting to a little bit. Our blank garments come from some different places that are affected. And I think more so the diminished value might be an issue for us. We do have a couple products that are made in China and then drop shipped directly to the customer from there, mostly our bucket feet. But most everything, for the most part, I think we're in pretty good shape. We were thinking if it does start to affect us that much, we might, rather than raise our costs on the product itself, we might add a line item to checkout for, a trade war fee. Because
It's transparent.
Yeah, and it's also like, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? We need to be able to be flexible and adjust it. We don't want to be adjusting our actual product pricing like every 5 minutes.
Right. I mean, you have to stay nimble.
Yeah.
And I think Threadless throughout 25 years has been nimble. I mean, you've tried new things. You've gone in different directions.
Yeah. It just really puts a damper on everything.
It does.
Why do we even have to be thinking about this? We should be thinking about stuff to actually grow our business,
Well, let's talk about growing the business. We're 25 years in. What does the next 25 look like? What does the next 5 look like?
I mean, one thing I'd like to try to figure out is to take the company vertical in some way, like do our own production for some things at some point. Because it's interesting, like I go to all these conferences about all this new equipment that's being made for making product on demand. Like that's an area there's a huge amount of innovation happening. Like stuff you can do on screen printing, like glow-in-the-dark ink or puff ink or, like even neck labels and stuff. They're developing stuff so that all of that can be used for make-on-demand production too. But then it takes so long for the suppliers to then integrate that into their API and then us to then integrate it there. And I'd like to have more control over that side of it. And then also just what products can be made to order is changing a lot. I mean, this wouldn't be 5 years, but in the future, if clothing is made to order, why not make it to fit our bodies exactly rather than having like small, medium, large, extra large,
Amen. Amen. Where does AI fit into all this? I feel like you can't talk about business in 2025 without talking about AI.
I know. It's we did put an AI policy up on our website because we saw so many people just uploading hundreds of just garbage designs because it's so easy to do. I've seen some cool stuff that artists have done with it too, but we just want to make sure that artists are adding their own creativity to it, and it's not just like AI slop being plastered all over.
Oh, there's
the
a lot of
place.
it out there for sure.
But then it can also be used for some other stuff. Like one thing we find, most artists, when they upload a design, they don't often write a very descriptive description, or they don't tag it with things. And for searching, if you want to drive search traffic and stuff, you really need to do that. And AI is pretty good at looking at an image and seeing what's
That's
in it.
a great use for it.
Yeah, stuff like that is kind of interesting.
Help the artist help themselves, basically.
Yeah, but there's still issues with like how much energy it's using that I don't like, and I don't know. I mean, I'm skeptical. I wear a pin that says FAI art all the time, but I'm also in technology and I find it fascinating. I play around with it and stuff, but we'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes. So, in celebration of 25 years, what else do you have going on? How else are you marketing? And this is a big achievement. How else are you marketing it?
Yeah, we're doing all kinds. I mean, we're telling all the stories of artists, past and present, that have come in and out the platform. I'm doing a bunch of videos of kind of my top 10 moments of things that have happened over the years. We'll probably throw a party towards the end of the year of some sort. But yeah, on social media, we're doing a ton of stuff just throughout the year. So if you follow us there, there's a lot to see.
Are you a nostalgic person? Is that fun for you, or are you just kind of like, let's keep moving forward?
That's a really good question. I think I am. I can get joy and sadness from nostalgia. You know, there's some times that were really great, and it's like the what's that movie, the Pixar movie where the Inside Out, where like your good memories turn sad when you lose them. Like there's a little bit of that, but it's also just good to be grateful for everything that's happened, you know, and try not to let let that take over.
$1,000 and an idea 25 years ago, and here we are.
Yeah, it's just wild. I don't know how.
Look
this
what it got
happened.
you. It got you a hot dog in a car.
Yes, exactly. How could I ask for more?
Success. You made it. Congratulations on 25 years, and as expected, we both have a hot dog to go home with.
Excellent.
Yeah, everyone's a winner on Car Con Carne. Thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for enabling my artist store for Car Con Carne, and thanks for supporting the community of weirdos and creators.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that, and thanks for having me on the show.